stretching. So, and we're just going to use the floor and your own body. So you don't need any specific props for that. So you just make yourself a little comfortable pad to lie down on. I went ahead and just opened the whole blanket out wide over my mat. So it is covering the floor on either side of my mat as well as my mat. We're going to start there and just do some stretches to open the hips and move the spine and in both directions and a little bit of rotation. And then we'll do 3 supported poses. And for those poses, have as much in the way of props as you have. Get everything you have. So you can be as well supported and comfortable for a long hold. So those will be long, like 10-minute in the pose holds. Okay. Let's begin there. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Thanks for being here again. Okay, and then I'm going to drop the screen a little bit. Like, let's see. So we're just one more full level. There. Okay. Okay, so you'll want to be, again, just flat on the floor. And as much of this height as you need behind your head, right? This is just a kind of a minimal little couple of inches of support. You can always take your squarish blanket and you can double fold it if you want even a little more, but let the fold be behind your neck. And that is just depending on how much tension, how much tightness there might be across the front of the chest. And this just allows your upper back height under the head, gives your upper back and your shoulders a little more space, a little more of this capacity for them to just drop. And then your neck is supported a little bit free and your head is a little bit lifted. Okay, if you don't want that, don't need that, you can set that aside for the moment. You'll use it when we set up your supported poses, but you'll just start your arms alongside you, sense into the weight of your heels, the feeling of your feet, feeling of where your legs are making contact with the ground. You might sense yourself in your body as in sort of very discrete ways in terms of there's a boundary of your outer body and your clothes and where your clothes meet your skin and where your clothes meet the floor. Feel the boundary of your body if you're at all moving your fingers, blinking your eyes, breathing. And then on the other hand, you might just sense sensation in the body as a little more kind of clouded, a little more just diffuse, a cloud of sensation. Sensation here, sensation there. And as we start to connect to breath, as you start to anchor attention in the breath, let's play with the directionality of the breath today, where your inhale is moving downward. Your inhale moves from top or from nose to abdomen. And then your exhale ascends, moves from your abdomen upward. Try to feel for a sense of that. So you could be just more or less picturing this direction in your mind's eye as you breathe in and out. But you might also connect each piece of your inhale to a specific part of your anatomy. So as you're inhaling, you're sensing nose, face, throat, lungs, heart, rib cage, diaphragm, abdomen, lower abdomen. And the exhale, just track that movement in the reverse from abdomen upward. Soft abdomen, soft diaphragm, rib cage. Just notice the difference in the quality of sensations of inhale and exhale one, right? Creating this sort of lifting and expansion, and there's a little bit of tension associated with inhalation, and exhalation is a softening, a releasing and emptying out, letting go of that tension. Take a couple of more breaths, and then we'll move a little bit and stretch. Okay, so from there, we're going to bring up the right knee into the right hand. Okay, should be familiar to most of us by now. We're just going to take the right knee and let it fall wide to the side into your right hand. Maybe that's an inhalation. You take a big breath in, you inhale, maybe pause slightly at the top of the inhale, and then as you're ready to exhale, pull the knee back in, crossing over midline into your left hand, turn hips, bring your right knee to the left. Feel the end of your exhalation. When inhale feels right, feels like the natural time for inhale to arise, come back out into right hand, right knee wide to the side. Maybe a slight pause at the top of inhale, exhale into left hand across your midline, rotate. Three more times like that. But let's pay closer attention to the spaces between the breaths. So the space that you feel, that pause that you feel where there is no inhale and no exhale, there's just rest. And once more, and focusing on the pauses while we're moving and even holding poses might assist you in just letting go of any tension you might be holding at the end of the breath. Waiting to move again. Can you completely let go at the end of exhalation where there is a little bit of a pause in the breath? Okay, and then we'll come back onto your back, extend both legs, and then bring left knee into left hand. Big breath in, left knee externally rotating at the hip and then up and across. Exhale, rotate. Yeah, so same thing here, 5 breaths. Allow for a pause. Allow for any amount more your body might want to shake off, just release any little subtle holding of tension. And the pause of that, pause after that exhalation. Let's do one more. Allow for pause, allow for a little bit of stillness, and then when you're done, come back up onto your back. Let's have the 2 feet standing on the floor, and then we're going to take right thigh over left thigh, and right arm over left arm. The arm part is optional. The arm part is completely optional. If you want to, it's available, if it's not a strain or a struggle to bind the arms, intertwine the forearms, and then just let the hands rest on the head. You're going to draw both knees to the right. Inhale there. Exhale there. Pausing briefly before you come back up to stand on your left foot. And then just go again. Follow your breath. Exhaling back onto your foot this time. Allow for a little bit of a pause and then go again. On a blanket, you might be noticing your feet sliding around a bit as you go from the twist back up onto the sole of the foot. That's fine. One more with this cross in this direction. You can let the arms go and uncross your legs and extend both legs. Take a breath. Inhale, pause, exhale. Pause. Bring the feet back up to stand and cross left leg over right leg. Left arm over right arm. Take a breath in and let both knees fall to the left. Inhale, pause, exhale there. Pausing and then coming back up onto the sole of your foot. And then you'll inhale, drop the knees. Let that last as long as the trail of a breath in, and then exhale, return to the sole of your right foot. 3 more. Allow for a little bit of space. Allow for a little bit of stillness on either side of your breath. Good. And when you return, you can uncross and both legs long. Once again, pause for a full breath and inhale, pause, exhale, pause. Okay, and then this is nice. It's a little nicer if you're, again, on a blanket where your foot can slide up and down. We're going to start again with the right foot coming up, but on the outer edge of the foot and ankle until you're close enough to lift your knee, stand your foot on the floor, push to the floor to turn your hips to the left. So you want to feel a nice sense of arch along the right side of your spine, down into your lower back, maybe the back of your hips, and then into the front of your right hip, that lifted hip. Exhalation, let all of that go back out to both legs extended. Slide the outer foot back down. Pausing, right? Allow some pause and then inhale, begin again. Notice how the action of your breath mirrors in a way the actions of the pose. Coming in and out of the pose, sliding the foot back down and releasing the pose as exhalation. Right leg once more. Good, so getting lots of mobilization in this movement through both moving the leg and getting a little hip flexion. So continuing to mobilize the hips as well as the spine and a little bit of rotation and flexion in the lower back and the mid back. So pause, both legs extended before you move to the left foot, left leg. Feel just a moment of stillness. When your breath comes, lift the left foot. The inhalation takes you all the way into the pose. Exhale takes you all the way out of the pose. You get to the end, the left foot is extended, the left leg is extended again. Rather, take a full breath here with some pause. Top of inhale, bottom of exhale. Okay, and then take both legs, take your right heel off to the right of your space, and then bring your left leg over to your right leg. And stay kind of centered and balanced across the back of your hips. And then with your arms overhead, can you reach both arms over to the right without turning your shoulders too much? If you need to, you might need to. You lift head, arms, shoulders, and side bend yourself to the right. So like a banana, make yourself into the kind of the shape of a banana or crescent. Legs to the right, arms to the right. Yeah, a big breath in and out there, and then move yourself back to a center position, and then take left leg to the left, bring right leg to left leg, be a little further if that's possible, and then arms overhead. If you interlace your fingers or you just wrap one palm over the other palm, reach, lift head, arms, shoulders, fold yourself, fold upper body a little to the left. Deep right side extension. So we want to mobilize the spine, loosen any tension in the low back, and mobilize the spine into side bending in each direction, a little bit of rotation, a little bit of flexion and extension. And then come back to center. Release your two legs and release your two arms down beside you. Inhale, pause, exhale, pause. Okay, bring both knees into your hands. So let your knees come toward your chest. Giving the low back of your hips and your lower back a chance to just have some pressure and extension, feeling of lengthening into the floor. Okay, and then here you could do one of a couple of things, right? You could reach your arms in between your two knees, your feet in the air, where you can bring the arms around the lower legs or outer ankles and hang on to your ankles or your feet. And then use your elbows to push your knees a little more wider, a little more down. So happy baby pose, Ananda Balasana. Or you could do a little pigeon pose, ankle to knee, knee to chest. 3 or 4 breaths on each side. Just want to decide where your hips are asking for a little more space, where you tend to carry more tightness in your hips. Here, right in the upper outer part of the back of your hips, or here, which is more kind of groins and inner thighs. Take 2, 3, 4 more breaths here, wherever you are. Just pick another little stretch here on your back, little hip opener, another little hip opener. You can also cross your legs like easy pose on your back, and then pull your feet down towards you. Just let go of your feet, your legs, slide your heels out. So re-extend your legs. Feel the weight of your legs again. Let all of that go. Take a breath in with some pauses. Breath in, moving downward. Try to keep a little piece of awareness on that aspect of breathing in your practice tonight. Breathing the inhale downward from the top. It's a little weird, I know, being on your back and try to breathe down. The breath moves from the top of your spine to the bottom of your spine. On the inhale and then on the exhale. Imagine your breath traveling the length of your spine from tailbone to the crown. We'll pause there at the end of exhale. Okay, and so let's come up from there and have some props. Grab some props. We're going to do 3 poses. If we end up for some reason having more time, we'll do a little bit more, but we're going to do the Supta Baddha Konasana. So the pose we typically start in when we start with props, right? Which looks like support for your spine, and then soles of your feet together, knees wide, knees supported. And you can have strap if you want to have a strap around your knees to bind your legs together, or have a sandbag, which you would lay over your 2 feet. But have a way to keep your feet from sliding, just so you're not sort of all constantly have a piece of your attention on whether your feet are staying where you want them or not. Okay, so you have options too for your head. You can have the block for your head and have another blanket right here rolled up for your lower back. You can have a folded blanket on your bolster for your head. You can have more support like a block underneath your bolster if you'd rather have soft versus harder support. Okay, so go ahead and set that up, allowing time in our hour for setting up and getting props and putting your whole little thing together. This one I sent. I'm going to use the strap. I'm going to make a big loop with the strap. Strap is entirely optional, as usual. As long as, again, like your feet aren't going to do the sliding away from you bit. Okay, so if you're on a blanket like this, your feet may slide. So if you want to just fold up your blanket so that your feet could just be on the mat, and that the sticky mat will keep them from sliding, that is an option. Okay, and sandbag. So kind of think as you're setting things up, if you have a full complement of stuff, right, that the longer you hold a pose, really the more attention and care you want to take with how you're setting it up and what props you're going to use to support. Okay, so the longer you're going to be there for 10 minutes, make sure you have a setup that is conducive to your full relaxation. Right? The purpose of the practice is to create space, in the body, to give yourself some time to really settle into the cadence of your breath and to feel those still places, the quiet places, the pauses, to go inward with your awareness, to let it be a little bit of, each of these poses like a little meditation. Okay, so we are lying back over a spinal support with support under your knees or under your outer thighs. The belt sits very low across your lower back. Right, comes around your lower back and then through the inner thighs, over the tops of the ankles, around the outer feet. Okay. It's possible for your blocks to wedge if you're using blocks here so that you get a flat end against the outer thighs. A little more comfortable than the corner of a block. Okay, tips and tricks. It's all neat. There, I'm going to just use one sandbag over my feet. Just extra insurance. My feet staying where I want them. See how your breath feels here initially as you're settling into your supports. Sense the movement of your breath in your body, sense inhalation, sense the release of exhalation. And if you want to, just kind of make it a point of focus to remember the downward movement of inhale and the upward movement of exhale. You can add that too, or you can just set that aside. Just breathe. Do pay attention to the pause. Do pay attention to the quiet, the still between exhale and the beginning of inhale. And even a slight pause at the top of breath in. Let's be here. Continue re-anchoring awareness in the breath. Allow that the rhythm might need to change. Depth of the breath might want to change. If you're really looking for anything necessarily, look for ease. So that there doesn't have to be uniformity in the way you're breathing. Okay, so nice. Another maybe 2-3 breaths here. You're using the strap and your buckle is close to your hand. Just go ahead and loosen the buckle, whatever kind of buckle your strap might have, or not if you're using some kind of tie belt. Loosen your strap. And then let your feet just slide out to the foot of your mat. Take everything with you that might follow. Okay, and then we'll come from your back over onto your side. Use the palms to press the floor. Bring yourself up, and then just in any way you're comfortable sitting, just pause here for a breath. In any comfortable seat, just to feel. Shift from one state. Pause. We'll set up the next thing, which will be a reclined twist, which will be a rotation of your spine. So you can do that downward facing or upward facing. So lying on your back, upward facing, or facing your supports, downward facing. Okay. And if you are blessed with a wealth of props and you want to get really proppy with it in the interest of just staying for a while, right? We've done this before where we've got a couple of not only a bolster, but maybe another length of a rolled up blanket or an additional bolster if you happen to have one, maybe one over here. And that this, if our knees are facing to the right and we're going to rotate to the left, that you could allow this left arm to be, if it doesn't want to rest this way, it could rest, excuse me, Mr. Peacock. It could rest alongside you, downward alongside you. Pardon, people need to see Mr. Kitty Fox. I'm sorry. Oh my God. Right alongside you, but maybe even on some more height, okay? So if we are using just the bolster and you're downward facing, but you have potentially a block or another blanket or a cushion, and you're here, and your knees are here, you might have one leg folded in front of the other leg, slightly staggered, maybe stacked, maybe they're in a different kind of orientation with the bottom leg a little more forward. If there's any gaps here, again, cushions and everything to support gaps. But take either one of those rotations where you're facing upward or you're using the bolster, you're facing the floor. Already, I think we might go maybe a few minutes over 7:15, if that's okay. Optimal support, optimum comfort, right? Again, so that you could just take awareness back to breathing and to the pauses in between your breaths. Rest in that quiet space and that still space. So another breath for 2 on this side. We'll make our way up. And over onto the other side. Another 2 or 3 breaths on this side of the twist. So if you were on your back, you might come to a side pause on your side before you press yourself up. And then let's just set up comfortably for Shavasana. So put a little support to where your knees will be. And a little bit of support underneath your head. And if you're using a blanket like this, if you're using one of these Mexican blankets and you've got it folded like that, like from there, the big square where you then have it folded in half, you might set it so that the fold is at the top of your mat, top of your head. And that this top layer of the fold, you could then roll under the corners of that a little bit into kind of the shape of where your head is going to go. And that just creates like a little well for your head to rest. And so your head is a little bit cradled by these two sides of your blanket. If you like to use sandbags and you have them and you can put sandbags over your shoulder, then the top of your sandbag sometimes gives you that same just sense of your head being held firmly in place. I mean, not firmly, but stable. It stabilizes your head if your head has a tendency to kind of list or roll to one side. So your comfortable final relaxation shavasana or corpse pose for tonight. Okay. And once your head is down and you're doing that little blanket roll here next to the side of your head, and you get that top layer kind of rolled in and tucked, then you can take the bottom layer and just do the same thing. So it makes like a little roll underneath, top roll. If it feels good, you might also too just play with, as you're here on the exhalation, letting the exhale come out through the mouth. Relaxed jaw, relaxed throat, relaxed lips, all the muscles of your face soft. Every now and then, just exhale out through the mouth. So, well, let's take just another minute or two here. Anchored in breath. Take another breath or two here in the pose. Let the exhale come out through the mouth. Release exhalation through just a nice, clear, relaxed, open airway. And then from there, we'll just come slowly up from your props. Your time, moving in whatever way you need to, without too much effort. Pause on your side for a breath. Moving up slowly from your side. Pausing once more in your seat just to close your practice. Take a moment to honor your time, your intention of making time once again. For body, deeper exploration in your restorative practice, deeper exploration of that connection of mind to breath and mind to body. And the more, maybe importantly, what happens again in that pause, in that still space, in the quiet, right? Fullness of the pause. Okay, so thank you once again for being here. Have a wonderful evening. Enjoy the rest of it. Stay cool, stay